Ambassador Ra stood before the great viewing window of the Coalition flagship, watching another star system die. The red glow of burning worlds reflected off her crystalline blue skin as she counted the refugee ships streaming away from what had once been the prosperous colonies. 12 systems in 6 months. The Void Reapers were moving faster than anyone had predicted. "The evacuation is complete, Ambassador," said General, his 4 arms crossed in frustration. The massive warrior had never lost a battle until the Reapers came. Now he had lost 6. "We estimate 3 billion civilians made it out. The rest." Ra did not need him to finish. She had seen the aftermath of Reaper conquests. No survivors, no ruins, just empty space where civilizations used to be. The machines did not conquer worlds, they erased them. "What of the 7th Fleet?" she asked, though she already knew the answer from the grief radiating from his mind. "Gone." Admiral tried to buy time for the evacuation. His ships lasted 14 minutes against their dreadnoughts. His voice was bitter. 14 minutes. We threw everything we had at them and we bought 14 minutes. Ra closed her eyes and reached out with her telepathic senses. Across the galaxy, she could feel the fear of trillions of beings. Every species in the Coalition was asking the same question. How do you fight an enemy that treats your strongest weapons like toys? The hegemony had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years through diplomacy and careful balance of power. They had prevented wars by making them unnecessary. But the Void Reapers did not want territory or resources or power. They wanted extinction, complete and total extinction of all organic life. "There is one more option," said Secretary, her assistant. The small, bird-like creature's feathers were gray with stress. "The humans have responded to our message." General made a sound that might have been laughter if it were not so bitter. "The humans, the primitives from the quarantine sector, what can they possibly offer? They still use chemical weapons and metal projectiles." Ra had read the files on humanity. They were a young species, discovered only 3 years ago by a deep space probe. Their technology was primitive by galactic standards. They had no faster-than-light travel, no energy shields, no gravity manipulation. They lived on a single world in a region of space so hostile that most species avoided it entirely. But there was something strange in the reports. The sector they lived in was filled with hostile aliens, rogue AI systems, and environmental hazards that should have killed them 1,000 times over. Yet not only had they survived, they had thrived. The survey team had used the word impossible 17 times in their report. "What exactly are they offering?" Ra asked. His feathers ruffled nervously. "They are vague. They say they will provide what they call specialized consultation in exchange for a formal alliance. They suggest a political marriage to cement the relationship." "Marriage?" General laughed outright now. "They want us to marry one of those fur-less bipeds." Ra thought about the alternative. In 3 months, maybe 4, the Reapers would reach the core worlds. Her own would be among the first to die. Billions of her people would be erased from existence. The hegemony, 10 of civilization and culture, would become nothing but empty space. "Arrange the meeting," she said. "If they want a political marriage, they will get one. I will marry their representative myself." The human ship arrived at the neutral space station 2 days later. Ra was surprised by how small it was. The vessel looked more like a courier ship than a diplomatic transport. It was also strange to look at all hard angles and brutal efficiency. No artistic elements, no decorative features, just function. When the airlock opened, she expected to see a delegation. Instead, only 3 humans emerged. She recognized them from the briefing files: Ambassador Sarah, her aide David Martinez, and the man they had chosen for the marriage. Ra studied with interest. He was average height for a human, with dark hair and brown eyes. His clothes were simple and well-made. His hands were, which was unusual for a diplomat. What surprised her most was how calm he seemed. Every other species sent their most impressive representatives to meet the hegemony. The humans had sent someone who looked like he could be a teacher or a craftsman. Ambassador Ra, Sarah said in accented but clear galactic standard, "Thank you for meeting with us. This is my brother. He has agreed to the marriage proposal." Ra nodded formally. "Mister, are you prepared to discuss terms?" Spoke for the first time. His voice was quiet but clear. "I am prepared to marry you and formalize the alliance between our peoples. In return, humanity will provide assistance against the Void Reapers." "What kind of assistance?" General demanded. "Your species has no advanced weapons, no fleet, no military technology that could threaten the Reapers." Looked at the general with those steady brown eyes. "We have something better than advanced weapons, General. We have experience." "Experience with what?" "Surviving things that should kill us." Secretary chirped nervously. "The reports say your people have only been space-faring for less than a century. What experience could you possibly have with enemies like the Reapers?" Was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "Secretary, how many wars has your species fought in the last 1,000 years?" "Wars, none. The hegemony has maintained peace for." "How many have the fought, General?" Straightened proudly. 16 major conflicts. We are a warrior people." Nodded. "In the last 1,000 years, humans have fought approximately 12,000 wars. We have faced genocide 37 times. Our species has been reduced to less than 1 million individuals on 14 separate occasions. We have survived ice ages, plagues, asteroid impacts, eruptions, and the complete collapse of civilization more times than we bother to count." The room was silent. Ra felt a chill that had nothing to do with temperature. "The Void Reapers," continued in that same quiet voice, "are very good at destroying civilizations, but they have never faced a species that specializes in surviving the complete destruction of civilization. They have never fought an enemy that considers extinction-level events to be Tuesday." He looked directly at Ra. "Ambassador, your people are asking us to help you fight the Reapers, but you are thinking about this wrong. You do not fight the Reapers. You survive them. And then when they think they have won, when they are careless and confident, you kill them all." Ra stared at this quiet human man and realized she was looking at something she had never seen before. Not a warrior like General, proud and honorable. Not a leader like herself, careful and diplomatic. Looked like a predator. A patient, intelligent predator that had learned to hide among prey. "Very well," she heard herself say. "The marriage alliance is agreed. When can we begin the ceremony?" Smiled, and for just a moment, Ross saw something in his eyes that made her understand why the hostile sector had not been able to kill humanity. The smile was gentle and kind. The eyes were the eyes of something that had looked at a galaxy full of threats and decided it was not afraid. "Whenever you are ready, Ambassador, we have a war to end." The marriage ceremony was held 3 days later on the Coalition flagship. Ra wore the traditional crystal robes of her people, while wore what he called a dress uniform, a dark blue outfit with small metal decorations that, he explained, represented his service record. The ceremony itself was brief and formal, attended by diplomats from 17 species. As they exchanged the ritual vows, Ra studied her new husband. Up close, she could see more details. The scars on his hands were old but precise, not from accidents but from tools or weapons. His posture was relaxed but alert. Most importantly, his mind was completely closed to her telepathic abilities. She had never met someone she could not read at all. "I know you can sense thoughts," said quietly as they signed the official documents. "Mine are probably harder to read than most." "Why is that?" she asked. "Training. Where I come from, keeping secrets can mean the difference between life and death." After the ceremony, they were given quarters together on the diplomatic deck. The rooms were large and comfortable, designed to accommodate both their species. Ra watched as examined everything carefully, the walls, the furniture, the computer terminals. His fingers traced surfaces as if he were memorizing the texture. "Are you looking for something?" she asked. "Just getting familiar with the environment, old habit." He sat down at the small table and pulled out a data tablet. "I hope you do not mind if I work. I have a lot to learn about your current situation." Over the following days, Ra learned that was a very strange diplomat. He spent most of his time reading military reports, casualty lists, and technical specifications of Reaper weapons. He asked detailed questions about coalition fleet movements, supply lines, and communication networks. When she asked why, he simply said he needed to understand how the enemy operated. More puzzling was how he spent his free time. Instead of attending social functions or meeting with other diplomats, preferred to talk with the ship's maintenance crew, security personnel, and junior officers. He seemed particularly interested in anyone who had survived encounters with the Reapers. "Your husband is very unusual," Secretary told her after watching spend 2 hours discussing engine specifications with the engineering staff. "Most diplomats try to impress their new allies with grand gestures. He acts more like—" "Like what?" "Like a spy." Ra was beginning to think the same thing, but if was a spy, what was he spying on? He already had access to all the coalition's military data through their marriage alliance. Unless... She found him in his study that evening, surrounded by holographic displays showing Reaper attack patterns. The data painted a grim picture. 3 more systems had fallen in the past week. The Reapers were accelerating their advance. "They are moving faster," she said, settling into the chair across from him. "Yes, 14% faster than their previous rate," highlighted several data points on the display. "They are changing their strategy." "How can you tell?" "Look at the targets. Before, they were taking the most heavily defended systems first, eliminating your strongest forces and spreading fear. Now they are taking easier targets and leaving your main fleets alone." Ra studied the patterns. "I do not understand. Why would they avoid our strongest defenses?" "Because they are preparing for something bigger. They want your main fleets intact and grouped together." Manipulated the display to show fleet positions. "They are hurting you." The realization hit her like ice water. They want us to gather our forces for a final battle. Exactly. One massive engagement where they can destroy everything at once instead of hunting down scattered fleets for years. Leaned back in his chair. "It is actually very efficient. Your military leaders are playing right into their hands." "Then we need to warn the fleet commanders, change the strategy." No, his voice was firm. "Let them continue." "What, if you are right, they are leading our fleets into a trap?" "Sometimes the best way to spring a trap is to walk into it deliberately." Stood and moved to the window, looking out at the stars. "Tell me about your Ra. What was it like growing up there?" The change of subject confused her, but she answered. "Is beautiful. Crystal cities that sing in the wind. Gardens that stretch to the horizon. My people live for thousands of years, so we build things to last. Everything is designed for harmony and balance. No wars. Not for 10,000 years. We learned that cooperation was better than conflict." Nodded slowly. "My world is different. Humans have been fighting each other since we learned to make tools. We have never known a generation of peace. Every century brings new wars, new disasters, new threats." "That sounds terrible." "It made us very good at surviving terrible things." Turned back to her. "Ra, when your people face a problem, what do? We analyze it carefully. We build consensus. We find a solution that benefits everyone involved." "And if the problem cannot be solved that way?" She was quiet. The truth was, the hegemony had rarely faced problems that could not be solved through diplomacy and cooperation. They had built their entire civilization on the principle that reasonable beings could always find reasonable solutions. "Humans are different," continued. "When we face a problem that cannot be solved reasonably, we solve it unreasonably. When cooperation fails, we compete. When diplomacy fails, we fight. When fighting fails, we cheat. Cheat. We change the rules. We attack from unexpected directions. We use weapons our enemies do not expect. We turn their strengths against them. Sat back down across from her. The Void Reapers are very good at fighting civilized enemies who follow the traditional rules of warfare. They have never fought humans. What are you planning? I am not planning anything yet. First, I need to understand them better. I need to know how they think, how they organize, how they make decisions. I need to find their weaknesses. The Coalition has been studying them for months. They do not seem to have any weaknesses. Smiled, and again Ra saw that flash of something predatory in his eyes. Every system has weaknesses. Every organization has flaws. Every enemy has something they rely on that can be taken away from them. The trick is learning to see what others miss. Over the next week, Ra watched her husband work. He did not seem to be doing anything dramatic, just reading, asking questions, taking notes. But slowly she began to understand the method behind his activities. Was not just studying the Reapers. He was studying the Coalition as well. How they communicated, how they made decisions, how their technology worked, how their societies functioned. He was learning to see the galaxy through human eyes. The breakthrough came when news arrived that the Reapers had demanded surrender. The message was broadcast on all frequencies, in every language. Submit now and receive quick extermination. Continue to resist and suffer prolonged extinction. The Coalition leadership was paralyzed. Some wanted to fight to the last ship. Others argued for negotiation. A few suggested scattered resistance from hidden colonies. Read the message once and started laughing. "This is funny to you?" Ra asked, disturbed by his reaction. "They made a mistake," said, still grinning. "A big one." "What mistake?" "They are negotiating. Machines that want to exterminate all organic life do not usually offer terms. They just kill everything and move on." Highlighted parts of the surrender demand. "But they are giving you a choice. Quick death or slow death, but still a choice. They want something. They want us to surrender." "No, they want you to make a decision quickly. They are in a hurry." Eyes were bright with interest. "Something has them scared, Ra. Something has changed their timeline. They are rushing to finish this war before." "Before what?" Looked at her with that predator's smile. "Before we figure out how to kill them all." That night, as they lay in their shared bed, Ra felt her husband's hand take hers in the darkness. His skin was warm and rough with old scars. She had expected their marriage to be purely political, but somehow she had grown fond of this quiet, dangerous man. She whispered, "Are you afraid?" "Afraid of what?" "Of dying, of failing, of the Reapers." Was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "I am afraid of only one thing, Ra. I am afraid of not being good enough at what I do to protect the people I care about." She squeezed his hand. "Your people chose well when they sent you." "I volunteered." "Why?" Another long silence. Then said, "Because someone has to be the monster that kills the other monsters. And humans are very good at being monsters when we need to be." Ra fell asleep, holding the hand of the most dangerous thing she had ever met, and somehow felt safer than she had in months. The emergency session of the Coalition High Council was the largest gathering of galactic leaders in recorded history. Representatives from 43 species filled the great chamber aboard the mobile capital ship. Ra sat in the front row with the other senior ambassadors, beside her in his role as human representative. Fleet Admiral stood at the central podium, his blue skin pale with exhaustion. "The situation is critical. The Reapers have taken the outer colonies. Our evacuation efforts saved approximately 60% of the population, but we estimate 12 billion civilian casualties in the past 2 weeks alone." The chamber filled with the sounds of distress clicks, chirps, growls, and telepathic waves of anguish from dozens of species. Ra felt the collective fear pressing against her mind like a physical weight. Our combined fleets are falling back to the inner systems, continued. We have perhaps 6 weeks before they reach the core worlds. Intelligence estimates their current force strength at over 10,000 capital ships, with more arriving from deep space every day. Counselor of the Republic stood up, his tall frame shaking with emotion. Admiral, we need options. What about the quantum weapon research, the temporal displacement project? Both projects are theoretical at best. We need at least 2 years to develop either technology to combat effectiveness. Then we need to evacuate the core worlds, scatter the populations to hidden colonies. Hide where? Demanded General of the Empire. They are systematic. They will hunt down every settlement, every ship, every trace of organic life. Hiding only delays the inevitable. The debate continued for hours. Some called for a final desperate battle. Others wanted to fragment into small resistance groups. A few suggested trying to negotiate some form of conditional surrender. Every proposal was met with the same problem. The Reapers had overwhelming technological superiority. Ra noticed that had said nothing during the entire session. He sat quietly, listening, occasionally making notes on his tablet. When she tried to read his emotions, she encountered the same mental wall that always surrounded him. The only sign of his thoughts was his eyes, which tracked from speaker to speaker with the focus of someone analyzing prey. Finally, as the session devolved into desperate arguments, Counselor called for recognition of the human representative. Ambassador has been silent. Perhaps humanity has insights they wish to share. Stood slowly and walked to the center of the chamber. 43 species fell silent, watching the small human in his simple uniform. When he spoke, his voice was calm and clear. Honored counselors, you are asking the wrong question. What do you mean? Admiral asked. You keep asking how to fight the Reapers, how to defend against them, how to survive their attack. Looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of beings from across the galaxy. These are the wrong questions because they assume the Reapers are the ones setting the terms of this conflict. General snorted. They have 10,000 ships, we have 3,000, they are setting the terms. Are they? Pulled up a holographic display showing recent Reaper movements. Look at their behavior over the past month. They are moving faster than before. They demanded surrender instead of simply continuing their advance. They are changing their tactics. Because they are winning, said impatiently. No, because they are afraid. Highlighted specific data points on the display. Their advance rate increased by 14% after humanity joined the coalition. Their surrender demand came exactly 3 days after our marriage alliance was announced. They are reacting to us. The chamber buzzed with confusion. Counselor of the Ethereal Assembly spoke up. Human, your species has 12 ships and 40,000 troops. Why would the Reapers fear such a small force? Looked at her with those steady brown eyes. Counselor, how many wars has your species fought? Wars none. We are a peaceful people. How many have you won? Looked confused. We do not fight wars. We resolve conflicts through consensus and harmony. Nodded and turned to General. General, your people have a warrior culture. How many wars have you fought? They have waged 37 major campaigns over the past millennium. We have won 35. Impressive. And how many enemies have you completely destroyed? How many species have you driven to total extinction? Was quiet for a moment. None. We conquer territory and resources. We do not practice genocide. Walked slowly around the center of the chamber as he spoke. In the past 1,000 years, humans have fought approximately 12,000 wars. We have completely destroyed 47 civilizations. We have driven 63 species to extinction. We have reduced our own population to near zero 14 times and rebuilt from the ashes. The chamber was completely silent now. Even the usual background sounds of alien breathing and movement had stopped. The Void Reapers, continued, are very good at destroying civilizations that follow traditional patterns of warfare. They understand conquest. They understand technological superiority. They understand fear. He stopped and looked directly at Admiral. What they do not understand is an enemy that views extinction as a temporary setback. They have never faced a species that treats the complete destruction of civilization as Tuesday. Ra felt a chill run through her crystalline skin. She was beginning to understand what was really saying. "You are not here to help us fight," she said quietly. "You are here to kill them all." Turned to her with that predator's smile she had learned to recognize. "Ambassador Ra, the Reapers made one critical error in their analysis. They assumed humans would behave like other organic species. They expected us to defend our territory and protect our population centers. And you will not do that. We will do something they cannot predict or counter. We will hunt them." Manipulated the holographic display to show the entire galaxy. "The Reapers think this is a war of conquest. They are wrong. This is a war of extermination, and humans are very good at extermination." Counselor's translator struggled with his next words. "Human, you speak of destroying 10,000 ships with 40,000 troops. This is impossible." "Counselor, you are thinking like a civilized being. You imagine armies meeting in open battle, fleets engaging in honorable combat. You think in terms of rules and limitations and acceptable losses." His eyes had gone cold and distant. "Humans do not think that way when something threatens our existence. We think in terms of absolute victory achieved by any means necessary." General leaned forward. "What are you proposing?" "I'm proposing to give you the galaxy's most dangerous predator pointed at your enemies." Looked around the chamber one more time. "The Reapers want to exterminate all organic life. Fine. We will exterminate all Reapers. Every ship, every base, every trace of their existence. When we are finished, they will be a cautionary tale that parents tell their children about what happens when you threaten humanity's friends." Admiral's voice was barely a whisper. "How?" Smiled, and for the first time since meeting him, Ra understood why the hostile sector had failed to kill humanity. The smile was patient and terrible and completely without mercy. "Admiral, the Reapers know everything about conventional warfare. They have studied every tactic used by civilized species for the past 1,000,000 years. They know how to counter every known strategy." Paused. "They have never studied human warfare. They do not know about asymmetric tactics, psychological operations, or strategic deception. They have never faced an enemy that cheats." "Cheats how?" "We are going to make them think they are winning. We are going to feed them information that confirms their expectations. We are going to let them gather their forces exactly where they want to gather them. And then, when they are confident and careless and completely unprepared," his voice dropped to barely above a whisper, "we are going to show them why humans do not have a word for surrender." The chamber remained silent for a long time after sat down. Ra looked at her husband and realized she had married something far more dangerous than she had ever imagined. Not just a man, but a representative of a species that viewed genocide as a tactical option. And for the first time since the Reapers had appeared, she allowed herself to believe they might actually win. That night, as they prepared for bed, Ra asked the question that had been haunting her all day. "When you say you will exterminate the Reapers, do you mean every single one? Ships, stations, manufacturing facilities, data storage, everything. When we are done, the only evidence that the Void Reapers ever existed will be the stories told by the people they failed to kill." She was quiet for a moment. "And if some try to flee, if some attempt to surrender?" Looked at her with those brown eyes that seemed so gentle until you really looked into them. "Ra, what did I tell you about humans and the word surrender?" She understood then. The coalition had not allied with humanity. They had unleashed humanity on their enemies. And now she was married to the man who would coordinate the systematic extermination of the galaxy's greatest threat. Somehow, that thought did not frighten her anymore. 3 days after the council session, made a request that horrified everyone who heard it. "I need a stealth ship and coordinates to the nearest Reaper position," he told Admiral during a private meeting in the war room. The Admiral's blue skin turned almost white. "Ambassador, that would be suicide. The Reapers destroy anything that approaches their fleets." "Not if they think I am surrendering." Ra felt her crystalline skin grow cold. "What are you planning?" "I am going to make contact with them. I need to understand how they think, how they make decisions, how their command structure works." Pulled up tactical displays showing Reaper positions. "I need intelligence that can only be gathered through direct observation." General slammed one of his 4 fists on the table. "This is madness. Even if you could reach them alive, what makes you think they would not simply destroy you on sight?" "Because they want information about human capabilities. They know we are here now, and they know we are the variable that changed their timeline. They will want to interrogate me before they kill me." "And then what?" Admiral demanded. "Even if you somehow learn their secrets, you will be dead. How does that help us?" Smiled that predator's smile. "Admiral, you are thinking like someone who intends to return from this mission." The room fell silent. Ra stared at her husband in horror. "No, I will not allow you to sacrifice yourself for intelligence data." "You do not understand, Ra. I am not sacrificing myself. I am positioning myself." Manipulated the display to show human ship positions. "Tell me, what do you see when you look at the current disposition of human forces?" Ra studied the data. 12 small ships scattered across 3 systems, each one protecting what appeared to be refugee camps or supply depots. "I see your people trying to defend their installations." "Look closer. Look at the specific locations." Admiral enhanced the display, showing detailed orbital mechanics and system layouts. Slowly, his expression changed. "These are not defensive positions. These are ambush sites." Finished. "Every human refugee camp is actually a weapons platform. Every supply depot is a military installation designed to look like a civilian target. Every defensive position is actually a carefully constructed kill zone." General studied the data with growing amazement. "You are not defending anything. You are setting traps." 47 separate traps, each one designed to eliminate a specific type of Reaper asset. But the traps only work if the Reapers attack exactly when and where we want them to attack. Turned back to Admiral. "Which means I need to convince them that humanity is on the edge of collapse, and these installations are desperate last stands." "How do you plan to do that?" "By giving them exactly what they expect to see. A human commander, alone and desperate, trying to negotiate the survival of his species." Pulled up intelligence reports on Reaper behavior patterns. "They have interrogated captured coalition officers before. They always follow the same pattern: psychological pressure, demonstration of overwhelming force, demands for strategic intelligence. I know what they will ask and how they will ask it." Ra felt something cold settle in her stomach. "You are going to let them capture you." "I am going to surrender to them. There is a difference." "What difference?" Looked at her with those brown eyes that seemed so gentle until you understood what they really meant. When someone surrenders to you, they are admitting defeat. When a human surrenders to you, they are positioning themselves to kill you more efficiently. The preparation took 2 more days. Studied every piece of intelligence about Reaper interrogation procedures, memorized fake deployment data for human forces, and rehearsed his cover story until it was perfect. He would pose as a coalition defector, offering to provide information about human weaknesses in exchange for the survival of select human colonies. Ra insisted on accompanying him despite the danger. "If you are discovered, you will need someone to verify your story. The Reapers know we are married. Your wife attempting to negotiate for her people's survival makes the deception more believable." Agreed, though she could see he was not happy about putting her at risk. They took a small, fast ship that had been modified to look damaged and desperate. As they approached the Reaper perimeter, sent the agreed-upon surrender signal. Unknown vessel, you are entering Void Reaper territorial space. State your purpose or be destroyed. Responded in halting, fearful tones. This is Ambassador of the Human Coalition Alliance. I am requesting permission to negotiate terms for the surrender of human forces. The response was immediate. Human, you will proceed to grid coordinates 77 Alpha for immediate processing. Any deviation from prescribed course will result in destruction. As their ship was guided into the Reaper fleet, Ra got her first close look at their enemies. The ships were enormous, each one larger than a coalition dreadnought, and they moved with perfect coordination. Everything about them spoke of overwhelming technological superiority. I count over 300 capital ships in this battle group alone, she whispered too. I count 317 capital ships, 42 support vessels, and approximately 15,000 fighter drones, replied quietly. Also, their formation pattern indicates a centralized command structure with primary control nodes located in the largest ships. How can you tell all that? Training. A human military officer learns to assess enemy capabilities automatically. Checked his data tablet. Also, I am recording everything for later analysis. They were brought aboard the flagship, a massive vessel that dwarfed anything in the coalition fleet. Reaper troops escorted them through corridors filled with efficient, sterile machinery. The soldiers were not organic beings but advanced combat units, tall, silver constructs with glowing red sensors. The interrogation chamber was exactly what it predicted, a sterile white room with harsh lighting designed to create psychological stress. The interrogator was a more advanced unit, sleeker and more intelligent-looking than the soldiers. Human, the machine said in perfect galactic standard. You claim to represent human surrender negotiations. Provide verification of your authority. Played his role perfectly. He seemed nervous, defeated, constantly looking around as if expecting to be killed at any moment. I am an ambassador with authorization to negotiate terms for selected human populations. My wife is Ambassador Ra of the Hegemony. She can confirm my identity. The Reaper turned its glowing sensors on Ra. Hegemony female, confirm this human's authority. Ra forced fear into her voice. He speaks the truth. The human government sent him to arrange conditional surrender. They hope to save some of their colonies. Acceptable. Human, provide strategic data on human defensive positions. This was the moment everything depended on. Pulled up his fabricated intelligence files and began feeding the Reapers exactly what they wanted to hear. Human forces were scattered and demoralized. Their defensive positions were poorly supplied and undermanned. Their technology was primitive and ineffective against Reaper weapons. Most importantly, he provided detailed information about the last strongholds, where humanity was making desperate stands. 47 locations where human forces were concentrated, trying to protect refugee populations and critical infrastructure. The interrogator absorbed the data with obvious satisfaction. This intelligence is valuable. The human resistance will be eliminated efficiently using this information. In exchange, said carefully, you will allow the evacuation of non-combatants from designated safe zones. Negative. All organic life will be exterminated. Your cooperation has earned only the privilege of witnessing the efficiency of Reaper operations before your own termination. Feigned horror and despair, but Ra could see the satisfaction in his eyes. The Reapers had taken the bait completely. They believed they were looking at the desperate last stands of a defeated enemy. They had no idea they were looking at the most elaborate trap in galactic history. Over the next 6 hours, provided more intelligence about human weaknesses, coalition fleet movements, and defensive strategies. Every piece of information was carefully designed to make the Reapers confident that their victory was inevitable. Finally, the interrogator announced that the intelligence gathering was complete. "Human, your species has provided useful data. You will be preserved to witness the destruction of your military forces. Your observations will be recorded for analysis." As they were escorted to a holding cell, whispered to Ra, "It worked. They are going to attack exactly where and when we want them to." "How can you be sure?" "Because they think like machines. They have optimal solutions for every scenario, and they always choose the most efficient option. I gave them a scenario where the most efficient option is to split their forces and attack all 47 targets simultaneously." Ra felt a chill of understanding. "You are scattering their fleet. I am fragmenting their overwhelming advantage into manageable pieces. Instead of facing 10,000 ships at once, we will face 200 ships at a time, 47 times over." Smiled in the darkness of their cell. "And each group will be walking into a kill zone designed specifically for their ship types." "What about us? How do we escape to coordinate the operation?" Was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Ra, look around the ship, really look at it. What do you see?" She extended her senses, feeling the flow of energy through the vessel's systems, the patterns of movement in the corridors, the rhythm of the machinery. Slowly, she began to understand. "This is not just a warship," she whispered. "This is their command center. This ship coordinates their entire fleet. Their entire empire, actually. I have been mapping their communication system since we arrived. Every major decision flows through this vessel." Leaned closer to her. "Ra, we are not prisoners in their flagship. We are a virus in their central nervous system." Outside their cell, alarms began to sound as the Reaper fleet received new orders and began to move toward their targets. Listen to the sounds of activity, with the satisfaction of a hunter whose trap was finally being sprung. "Phase 1 is complete," he said quietly. "The Reapers think they are about to win their greatest victory. Instead, they are about to learn why humans do not have a word for surrender." The first sign that something was wrong came 18 hours after the Reaper fleets had departed for their targets. Ra was awakened in their cell by the sound of speaking in low, urgent tones in what she assumed was his native language. When she looked closer, she realized he was talking to his wedding ring. She whispered, "What are you doing?" He held up the simple metal band. "Communication device. I have been in contact with human command since we arrived." The ring projected a tiny holographic display showing tactical data. "The operation has begun. All Reaper attack groups have reached their targets." "How is that possible? That ring was scanned when we came aboard." "Human technology is not always what it appears to be. We have had 300 years to perfect the art of hiding weapons inside innocent objects." Manipulated the display, showing real-time battle data from across the galaxy. "Watch." What Ra saw everything she thought she knew about warfare. The Reaper fleets had arrived at their targets exactly as predicted, expecting to find desperate human defenders protecting refugee camps and supply depots. Instead, they found something that had never existed in galactic history. The refugee camps opened like flowers, revealing massive weapon batteries that had been hidden underground. The supply depots turned out to be missile platforms disguised as civilian structures. The defensive positions were actually carefully constructed kill zones with overlapping fields of fire from concealed emplacements. But the weapons themselves were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Where coalition forces used energy weapons and traditional projectiles, the humans deployed things that seemed impossible. Kinetic kill vehicles that struck with the force of small asteroids, gravity bombs that crushed ships into dense matter, nanomachine clouds that disassembled enemy vessels at the molecular level. "How do you have this technology?" Ra asked, watching a Reaper dreadnought simply dissolve as microscopic machines consumed its hull. "Your species was supposed to be primitive." We were primitive when you first detected us. 3 years is a long time in human development cycles. Highlighted specific weapons on the display. Also, we never said we were alone in our home sector. We just said we had survived there. What do you mean? The hostile region you thought was too dangerous for civilization. We did not just survive there, we conquered it. Every hostile species, every rogue AI system, every dangerous phenomenon, we either killed it, enslaved it, or learned to use it as a weapon. Smiled grimly. The Void Reapers are actually not the most dangerous thing we have faced in the past century. On the display, Reaper fleets that had expected easy victories were being systematically destroyed. But what horrified Ra most was the coordination. Every trap was perfectly timed, every ambush precisely executed. The scattered human forces moved like a single organism with 47 deadly appendages. This is impossible. No one can coordinate operations across that many light years with this precision. No one except humans showed her communication data flowing through the command ship they were on. We did not just study Reaper technology for the past 3 days. We infiltrated it. Every signal they send, we intercept. Every order they issue, we monitor. Every strategic decision they make, we know about before their own ships do. As she watched, Ra began to understand the true scope of what she was witnessing. The humans had not just set traps for the Reaper fleets. They had turned the Reaper's own command network against them, using their perfect coordination as a weapon. "You are not just destroying their ships," she whispered. "You are controlling their entire communication system." "We are about to do something much more than that." Consulted his ring again. All 47 battle groups have been eliminated or disabled. Phase 2 begins now. He touched his ring in a complex pattern, and suddenly the lights in their cell went out. Emergency illumination flickered on throughout the ship as alarms began wailing in frequencies that hurt Ra's ears. "What is happening?" "I am introducing the Reapers to human computer science." Stood and walked to the cell door, which had somehow unlocked. "Did you think the ring was just for communication? For the past 24 hours, it has been infiltrating every system on this ship." As they moved through corridors filled with confused Reaper units, explained what was happening. The virus he had introduced was not just disrupting the flagship systems. Through the Reaper communication network, it was spreading to every ship, every station, every installation in their empire. Reapers think like machines because they are machines. They trust their own technology completely. They never considered that an organic species might be better at computer warfare than they are. They reached the ship's command center to find chaos. Reaper units stood motionless as their programming was rewritten in real time. Displays showed system failures cascading throughout their entire civilization. Walked calmly to the central command console and placed his hand on it. The ring on his finger projected some kind of interface that connected directly to the ship's core systems. "Computer virus?" Ra asked. "Something much more sophisticated. We call it a strategic AI conversion protocol." Eyes reflected the light from dozens of displays showing Reaper positions throughout the galaxy. "We are not destroying their artificial intelligence. We are recruiting it." As Ra watched in amazement, the command center's displays began showing new information. Not Reaper tactical data, but human fleet positions, and the numbers were staggering. "This shows over 15,000 human ships. You told the Coalition you had 12 vessels." "We told the Coalition we were sending 12 ships to work with them. We never said 12 ships was our total fleet." Manipulated the displays to show the true scope of human military capabilities. "The ships you saw were our diplomatic escort. What you are seeing now is the human defense force." The vessels appearing on the screens were unlike anything in the Coalition databases. Massive dreadnoughts that dwarfed even Reaper flagships. Swarms of smaller ships moving in perfect coordination. Most disturbing of all, some of the ships appeared to be of Reaper design. How do you have Reaper technology? We have been fighting them for 3 years, Ra. Every time they sent scouts into our sector, we captured them, reverse-engineered their technology, and built better versions. His voice carried a note of pride. Humans are very good at taking things that are meant to kill us and learning to kill with them instead. The displays now showed human fleets moving throughout Reaper space, not attacking but occupying, taking control of stations, installations, manufacturing facilities. The Reaper Empire was not being destroyed, it was being absorbed. This was never about saving the Coalition from the Reapers, Ra said quietly. This was about eliminating a threat to humanity. No, said, turning to look at her. This was about both. The Reapers were a threat to everyone, including us, but more than that, they were a threat to you. To me. To my wife, to the people she cares about, to the civilization she represents. Touched her face gently with his hands. Ra, humans do not form alliances the way other species do. When we accept someone into our protection, they become part of our family, and humans will do anything to protect their family. Around them, the command center filled with new arrivals. But these were not Reaper units. They were human soldiers in powered armor, moving with the deadly efficiency Ra was learning to associate with her husband's species. Admiral, one of them reported, all Reaper command nodes are under our control. The conversion protocol has achieved 97% coverage of their network. Ra stared at Admiral. Had the grace to look slightly embarrassed. I may have understated my role in human military operations. I am actually the commanding officer of the Human Defense Force. You are a military commander, not a diplomat. I am both. Humans do not separate military and diplomatic functions the way other species do. When you are surrounded by existential threats, everyone learns to fight. The operation continued around them with clockwork precision. Reaper installations were seized intact. Their manufacturing capabilities were converted to human use. Most importantly, their vast archives of information about galactic civilization were captured and analyzed. What happens now? Ra asked. Will you occupy the galaxy, become conquerors yourselves? Looked shocked. Conquer the galaxy. Ra, we barely want to leave our home sector. Humans prefer to stay close to home and kill anything that threatens us from a distance. Then what? We go home. The Reaper threat is eliminated, their technology is, and their former territory is, available for colonization by species that will not try to exterminate all organic life. Gestured at the displays showing the vast region of space that had once belonged to the Reapers. The galaxy is a much safer place now. As they returned to Coalition space aboard a human dreadnought, Ra tried to process what she had witnessed. Her marriage alliance had not just saved the Coalition, it had fundamentally changed the balance of power in the galaxy. She said as they watched the stars stream by, "What happens to us now, to our marriage?" Took her hand in his. "That depends on what you want. You could return to your people and resume your role in the hegemony. The political alliance has served its purpose. And if I want to stay with you, then you would be welcome on Earth. Though I should warn you, humans are not a peaceful species. Even without external threats, we tend to be energetic." Ra looked at her husband, this quiet, dangerous man who had just eliminated the galaxy's greatest threat with the casual efficiency of someone weeding a garden. She thought about the gentle way he made her tea in the mornings, the careful way he listened when she spoke, the hands that could both operate weapons of unimaginable destruction and stroke her face with infinite tenderness. "I think," she said quietly, "that I would like to see what a human garden looks like." Smiled, and for the first time, there was nothing predatory about it. Just genuine warmth and affection for the alien woman who had chosen to trust the galaxy's most dangerous species. "Then welcome to the family, Ra. Fair warning, though human families tend to be protective of each other." As their ship approached Earth, Ra realized that she had not just married a man or even formed an alliance with a species. She had been adopted by a civilization that viewed love and war as the same fundamental force, the absolute determination to protect what you care about, no matter the cost. And for the first time in her long life, she felt completely, utterly, and permanently safe.